Good morning, everyone. So right after I hit play or start, I hiccuped. So hopefully it was just the one hiccup and you guys aren't going to hear me hiccuping. And hiccups are the worst. Okay, random little thing there. Let's get back to card making. Good morning, everyone. My name's Charlene Madrid. For those of you that don't know me, I am on the design team with Picket Fence Studios, and I go live on most Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Central here on the Picket Fence Studios YouTube channel. And I share a project and give you my tips and tricks using products from the newest release. So I hope you stick around. At the end, I do give away my card, which is fun. So good morning, Don. If you are interested in getting some happy mail, then stick around. And I think we'll probably go ahead and dive in. Good morning, Diana. Good morning, Arlette. I'm so glad to see everybody popping in. So let's take you on down here to the desk. Oh, good. Things are working as they should this morning, so that's good news. And let's get started because we're going to be doing a lot today for this card. And this is a fun technique you can use with lots of different items. So I'm going to grab my die cutting machine and bring it over. And I'm going to grab some cardstock here and my paper trimmer, and we can get started. I'm going to cut, I meant to cut cardstock before we got started, but alas, sometimes it just doesn't happen, you guys. Okay, so I've just got some 80-pound cardstock here. And what we're going to be cutting out to start with, these are the new layering Flora fall foliage dies. And these are some really finely detailed, good morning, Bonnie, leaf dies that you can do lots of fun stuff with. And we're going to take them, there's three, there's a large, I believe, maple leaf. I'm not sure what these are. And then there's this little 2 acorn piece, and then this little acorn with a leaf. So cute little fall things. And we're going to cut these out. Now, because you can see this is a super, super detailed die, lots of tiny little lines, because this is going to give you this beautiful thin outline. So I'm actually going to show you a trick for if you have super detailed dies and you want them to cut out well and you're using a manual die cutting machine. Good morning, Vicki. Is to cut things upside down. So essentially, normally you would have your mat, right? Whatever or your bottom cutting plate, whatever you use. I use a magic mat. And then you would put your cardstock and then your dies and your top cutting plate. Well, we're just going to reverse that, okay? So we're going to have our cutting plate, our dies, then, and you want to make sure your dies are facing up because they're going to cut into the paper going up. And I don't do this very often. Again, it's just for if I'm working with super detailed dies that I know need that little bit of extra pressure. And it just has to do with how the manual die cutting machines are set up and how the pressure is applied. So you're going to get a stronger, I guess, more pressured cut if you do it this way. And so now I'll take this through. And just go back again. And you're going to see that, right, like that just like destroyed the paper. It cut through all of that, no problem. All these fine little details are out. And the reason we did that is to make our lives a little bit easier, because we want to use this. Let me get it popped out here. Come on out. We're going to be using these super detailed edges. Ooh, so be careful. See, I pulled on mine. I don't want to pull it. Come on. Come out of your house, Mr. Paper. Okay, there we go. So you can see it cuts out this super detailed edge piece, and this is what we're going to be using. And you could do some fun die cut inlay techniques and stuff with this, but we're not doing that today. My brain's not awake enough for that level of die cut inlay. But you could do some really beautiful stuff. So I'm going to work my way along here to take this out. And it's going to pop out if my brain will start working correctly. And it's going to take out kind of this little inset part here. There it goes. Just going to take my time. Don't want to mess anything up here. Come on, little die. Pop out of there. Oh, I did this yesterday and I had 0 issues, but it looks like it's stuck a little bit right there. Okay. Going along. Pop this out. Let's go. There. So it should easily come out like that if you do this die cutting like I did. Okay. And the reason I'm taking my time and going so slow is because I want to try and avoid bending these very delicate edges if I can. So there you can see is the inset piece. But here is our super finely detailed, beautiful leaf die, which is really fun. So I'm going to set this aside. And I'll try and keep my workspace clean as I go here. We'll get our other 2 leaf die cuts here. Yeah, see how that one just kind of popped out? No issues. That's what it'll normally do when you cut like that. So we have this delicate die cut. We'll set that over there. And then we have this last one. And if you hear my kiddos, they are downstairs. They're in my younger son's room, but they're, I don't know, enacting some kind of battle of some sort. It's a little early for battling, in my opinion, but you know, they're not concerned. Come on out of there. Come in. There it goes. I always feel like I'm like talking to a puppy or a cat or something. Come in. Come in. There we go. We got that one. Also super pretty and delicate. So I've got those. And then I'm going to cut a couple more. But we're done with the big one. I'm going to use just one big one. And, oh, I'm throwing things. Throwing things. Get these off of here. And we're going to do some more of the little guys. I'll use my same paper here. And we'll cut this. What's everybody up to on this fine Tuesday? Oh, hi, Dawn. Were you here already? I don't remember. We just got back from Missouri on Sunday evening. So my brain is still resetting from that. We went to go visit my grandmother in Missouri and spent a couple days there. We left on Thursday and came back Sunday. So that was fun. And the weather was beautiful for any of my Midwestern friends. It was nice and it was like warm, but not hot. And it was kind of perfect. Not the heat and humidity that you normally get in Missouri at this time of year. Okay. We're going to do one more set of these guys and then we'll be done. I promise this will not be the whole like die cutting show with Charlene. We're almost done. Make sure that those are still in the right spot. And we'll do our last cut here. Ooh. Sorry for the shaky. It shouldn't be too bad because I've got my camera ceiling mounted. But it still does shake a little bit because the power cord kind of comes down and around and rests on my large monitor. And so that can cause it to shake a little bit. Okay, there we go. And sometimes too, like see, you can see these are popping out just fine. No issues. The other thing too, if you're ever having trouble with getting super detailed dies to cut is you might just have too many dies on your plate. You might need to just do a few less at a time, and that just allows the pressure to be more concentrated on whichever dies that you're trying to cut out. Okay, we've got our bunch of our beautiful little delicate leaves. Put our leaves away now. Good morning, Christine. Dawn, you're working while watching. Good. I hope I don't distract you too much from work. Okay, let's clean this up, this mess up here. Get this out of the way. And we're done with that. Done with this stuff. And we have our pretty little die cuts here. So what we're gonna do is bring in, this is the new 8x8 size of the paper inking palette. This just came out, this release. So if you're not familiar with the paper inking palettes, they are awesome. You can use them for all kinds of different things. But this side here has like a little bit of a beveled edge. So you could lay this on your work surface and it'll stick, but you can still easily lift it up because you can get your finger underneath there because of that bevel. So you can do that if you want to, or you can just take off the top portion and leave that part on there. Or really you can take off either side and leave one side on there so that it doesn't stick to any surface, which is probably what I will do. But these are great for holding stencils, for all kinds of different things. And in particular, what I'm going to be doing today is we're going to be inking up our awesome little delicate dies. Now, there is no way that I would attempt to ink blend these. Like, there's no world in which that would work out okay. Like, that I would bend them all up and they'd get all messed up and it would just be, it would really be kind of a nightmare. So So we are not going to do that. We are going to pounce on these to color them. Now, of course, you absolutely could use colored cardstock. You could ink blend on your cardstock before you die cut. But then you are worried about like making sure that you've ink blended enough space on the piece of cardstock. Or maybe like, I don't know, sometimes I don't have the right color of cardstock that I want to be using. And this just kind of takes all that away, because I knew I wanted to show you guys this is the other new thing that came out this past release. And I wanted to show these to you guys because we've got a new release coming. And I knew that I hadn't had a chance to show you these yet. So these are the new jewel tone paper pouncers. We have this lovely blue, red, and green here. So if you want to have, some people don't want to have to clean off their pouncers at all and anything like that, and they want to have a specific pouncer that they can always use for kind of, you know, a jewel tone dark red, or more of like an emerald green. And then they can have their light green and so on and so forth. Kind of like having a foam dauber for each color, or a blending brush for each color, and not having to clean it, which is awesome. Like if that's you, go for it for sure, because then you don't have any issues. We are going to pounce with these. So I've got this ruby red here, and super easy. If you're unfamiliar with the pouncers, these really, I love them. I use them all the time. They are great for stenciling, and this is probably the most amazing application, is coloring tiny die cuts. Like, look, takes 2 seconds and you've got this beautifully colored die cut. Oh no, your YouTube's not working right. Oh well, Vicky, we'll see you back here in just a minute. Hopefully nobody else is having any issues. So we've got that lovely red, and then we'll come in with some, I'm gonna close this before I knock it around. We'll come in with some emerald green. And if I recall, what did I want to do here? Oh, I was gonna do, I think, kind of one of each in each color. So we'll bring in our emerald green, and just like that, we have this perfect little ink blended die cut. Now you could also do more than one color, which I've done before, which is really fun, where you pounce, you know, like 2 different colors and blend them together onto a die cut, which you have so much more control than if you tried to do like an ink blended panel and then did the die cut. Like, it's not, I'm sure you could do it, but it's not something I would spend the time doing, because it's hard to gauge. Ooh, making a mess. It's hard to gauge where you should stop. All right, let's blend this out here. And you don't lose a lot of ink either, like you do with the blending brush. The pouncer essentially just like picks the ink up and just deposits it back down. I still don't really understand how it's able to do that so easily, but it just does, and it's awesome. All right, I'm gonna color each of these last 2 die cuts. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use all of these, but I wanted to make sure to cut out enough just in case. And I'm gonna color that one green. I'm leaving this big one red because I think it's a maple leaf. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong. I have no idea what the other leaves are, but maybe these are aspen leaves. I feel like they kind of look like aspen leaves. I don't know, but I feel like this one's a maple. Okay, let's close up all of our inks. We have all of our beautiful. They look so pretty sitting there, don't they? All colored up. Let's close these. Close. And like I said, if you could have these lined up and they would create beautiful like color pop in your craft room as well. You could have them like on a long thin shelf and then you just pull down whatever colors you're going to be working with. That's how I would set it up. I have right now a bin with trays where I keep all of my Pouncers, all of my large ones. And then I have another bin where I keep all of my pint-sized ones. But you can see this is kind of how I have my stuff set up right now. So I can easily pull out my dye ones or my oxide ones. I think I might change this eventually, but for right now, that's what I like. Okay. So those are the fancy new jewel tone paper Pouncers. I think they're awesome. And a couple releases ago, Picket Fence, oh, maybe an oak leaf, Dawn, you're right, maybe, I don't know. Oh, Christine, you got the jewel tone ones. Yeah, see, it makes it so you don't have to like clean them either, which is, it's so nice. I'm glad you got those. A little while ago, we came out with like aqua and teal, something like that. And I have those. And I think we came out with one other set of 3 so ideally if you have the whole set, you won't ever have to clean your Pouncers. They do clean fairly easily though. So kind of just depends on how you work, right? Okay, now I can just go ahead and pick these up off of here. And the mat's nice because it's sticky, the paper inking palette, but it's not too sticky. So you can see like it's not like bending my pieces at all when I take them off. And then you would just clean it like you would clean a normal photopolymer stamp. I'm going to find my baby wipes. I think I'll just be a little bit lazy today, guys. Use baby wipes. I usually only use these when I've got something really messy going on, but I'm kind of tired. So see, you can just wipe your ink off of there. Super easy. Comes right off. Now, if you are working with red, that's part of why I wanted to show you this too. Red is pretty much going to stain any kind of stamp, right? It just is. You can use there's some stamp cleaners on the market that you can use, but I wanted to show you because with any kind of sticky mat like this, if you use red ink on it, it will leave a light pink stain on there. So if you don't want that to happen on your sticky mats, don't use red ink. But like, it's just, that's part of using these, right? Like, it's well loved and used once you get some color on it. And like I said, you can use stamp cleaner on here just like you would use for a regular photopolymer stamp, and it'll clean it even more. But the reality is, it's a tool. This is a tool, guys, right? They are meant to be used and loved, and that's how you see it. Okay, we've got our little leaves. Wake up, Charlene. What are we doing next? Oh, a little piece came off of that. Hold on a second. Thought I was done, guys. Just kidding. Apparently, I did not remove all of the, what do you call it? Little paper pieces that were left over on there. Like the little paper hairs. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense to someone. That's okay. There. Now we're gonna bring in these are fun because these go together really well with these leaf dies. The Leaves Falling For You stamps, and there are coordinating dies with this set. We're gonna stamp out some of these stamps and we're gonna create our own pretty pattern paper. Now I've already set these up, but I think I'm gonna kind of move them around a little bit actually, because I want them to be a little bit closer, I think. So let me just grab a piece of cardstock here, cut this down to 4 1/4. We're making an A2 card. I know, shocking, right? Everybody's shocked that I'm making an A2 card. That's sarcasm, by the way, for those of you watching for the first time. I make mostly A2 size cards. You know, I really should branch out. I had somebody ask me the other day if I would make more 5x7 cards on my channel, and I think I probably will give a couple of other card sizes a little bit more love. And it's not that I dislike other sizes of cards, don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't really think about it very often. Does that happen to you guys? Do you just stick with the same card size and go from there? It's kind of a comfortable size, right? The other size I do make sometimes is I will make mini slimline. I do like a good mini slimline card, so I'll sometimes think to make that. But usually it's just A2. I think it's because it's this nice, neat little kind of package. And when you're done, that's all there is to it. Okay, so we've got leaves in here. We've got berries. We've got like little pine cones. I'm just adding some kind of little filler pieces because I feel like I wanted more stuff on my background. Maybe put that there. There we go. That's a little, I think, where I want it. Now, the key to creating your own background paper is to have some of your stamps going off the page. That is going to give you the illusion that this is cut from one big piece of paper. Are you laughing at me, Christine? You should. I don't know what I'm doing. So we're gonna stamp this with some, what did I get? Mist gray. This is a nice gray because it's a warm gray. So for those of you who are not big on color theory and all that good stuff, grays are interesting because they are a neutral and you can add them to pretty much any color to darken it up, but it's just gonna create a shade of that color. It's or you can use it by itself with any combination of colors, but you do have warm and cool grays, and warm grays I feel like tend to work better in the fall, and cool grays tend to work better, I feel like, in the summer. I could be making that up, but that's how it seems to me. So I'm using kind of a warm gray. See how I put 2 coats. I'm going to do a third one. Oh no, I know, I know, Christine. Yeah, so Christine, I think you're right. I think there was sort of a bit of a slimline craze for a little while there. And there's just not as many slimline products out there on the market right now. A full-size slimline card is for sure the best way to create a kind of like a multi-scene card. I love if I have the stamps to do it, like if I have a bunch of little critter stamps and I want to create like 3 little vignettes on a card, full-size slimline is the way to go. That's what I will always do. But it is a big card. You've got a lot of space to fill on it. The midi slimlines are much easier. You don't have to worry about covering it kind of as much of the card, if that makes sense. Okay, we put 3 stamps, 3 layers of that gray, and so now we have this nice little background that we've created that looks like pattern paper. And you could add some more stamps if you like. I could always bring in some more of the little stamps. I don't think I'm going to for this card, but that's something you could do if you want a more filled look to your background. And this is just a great way to create kind of a cohesive background with your card. So like here, I knew I wanted to do leaves. I don't have a lot of pattern paper in my life other than the really cool kind of glossy, A2 glossy backgrounds that Pigment has. Those are awesome because you can create a quick and easy background. But other than that, I don't have a lot of pattern paper. I'm not a big pattern paper person. I think they're beautiful, but I tend to stay away from them because I know they could really easily take over my life and my space. So I probably have maybe I don't know. I don't have a ton. Well, that's not fair. I do have some from other companies, but just I don't have like, you know, some people have like the big wall of pattern paper. I don't have that. Okay, so we've got these pretty leaves. They're going to coordinate with our stamped background. And I'm just trying to see sort of how I want to arrange these. I know I'm going to put my sentiment here. So keeping that in mind, we'll kind of play around here a little bit and see what works best. Maybe something like this. What do we think? I don't know, that's an awful lot of blue down at the bottom of the card. Maybe like this. I am going to slightly cut down this panel too, so that's something else to keep in mind. What do we think? I don't know. What did I do when I'm not going to show you guys this, but I did kind of a quick little practice card. Oh, I think I like what I did there. How did I do that? I put this like this and that one like that on my sample card. Well, do we want to include this? I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I think I do. I think I like it better with all of them on there. Okay. Reverse tweezers are your friend. There's a couple ways you can do this. You could stamp. What am I talking about? Hi, Phil. Welcome. You could put some glue in on your surface. I would recommend using like a silicone mat or something like that, and then drag your die cut through it. I'm not personally a huge fan of that method. I do it sometimes, but not very often. I kind of just prefer to use my glue press and just lightly dab here and there along the die cut. Like you don't need to cover the entire piece with glue. You just need to get enough on there in enough secure spots to make sure that your die cut does not peel up off your paper. So for me, this is kind of the way I like to do it, but I do occasionally do it the other way. The other thing you could potentially do is you could use double-sided adhesive sheets. The only reason I chose not to do that, because that would actually be my preferred method, is it doesn't tend to work well with really tiny, finely detailed die cuts like this. Like these are so beautiful, and they have such kind of lovely thin lines. And if you use the double-sided adhesive sheets, it's kind of hard to remove the release tape from them. So you can see, probably, maybe, I just put little tiny dots all the way along there. Not do anything wild, and then I just find my spot again and press it down. Now this is not, and that's not all, folks. We're gonna do a fun technique with these. Now I mentioned earlier when the video or live started that I was going to show you a technique that you can use with lots of different detailed die cuts, and I was serious, and it creates the most fun effect. So how did I have this? I had it like this, didn't I? Or did I have it like this? I don't know. I kind of like it like that. Let's just do that. And it looks really cool. So let's get these glued down. It is time consuming. It's time consuming to do all the little bits when you're working with finely detailed die cuts. You know, it just takes time to cut them out. It takes time to glue them down. Thankfully, because of paper pouncers, it does not take hardly any time to color them. So you could do kind of a card where all of your leaves are different fall colors. Like, think you could add some oranges and some purples in here, and that would look really pretty too. I wanted to show off these new colored paper pouncers though. So, there we go. Something else that would look really pretty with these, if you get these dies, is you could glue them to vellum and then trim along the edges so you get that pretty like sheer center. You also could glue them to an alcohol ink panel, and that would look absolutely gorgeous. You could do them in white and then glue them to an ink blended panel and trim them out, and that would look really pretty. And there's not too much, it wouldn't be too much work to do the fussy cutting around these once they were kind of glued to something else, because they're pretty straight go, and it's easier to cut around something that's raised. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that, but it's a lot easier to do that. All right, here's the big one. Now, because this one's so big, it's a little more unwieldy. That's the word, unwieldy. So let's go ahead and add our glue on here. And I'm going to start with my centers, because otherwise I will lose track of what I was doing. And I'm just, if you have the glue press, I'm using the precision tip, and I'm just very, very lightly squeezing on the handle, and it gives you such finite control over how much glue comes out. It's one of my favorite tools. It was a little awkward to get used to, but I love it. It is one thing that I use every single card. Same thing with my stamping platform. You know, those are kind of like now those two tools are definitely on my top 10. Throw in a pair of reverse tweezers, some non-stick scissors, and they're all things that make your life easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by putting these pieces down. Oh, I don't want it overlapping though. And then I'll kind of line up the centers here. Oh, and then just pull on it. Don't do that. Don't pull on it like I did. I can just kind of manipulate this a little bit as I put it down to keep all of my little pieces lined up in their respective leaf spots. Oh, that looks so pretty. I've got a little overlap there. I don't want that, so I'm going to scoot that. Look, so pretty. So you could leave it like that if you wanted to. I obviously don't, because that's not the way my brain works. We're going to cut this down. Normally I would let this dry a little bit, but because we are live, we just don't have that same luxury. So I'm going to cut this down to probably 4, because I think I want about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So I'm going to cut it down to 4 inches here. So I'll cut each of these sides to 4 inches. And the reason I flipped it around like that, you might be wondering, what in the world? It's just because the top is not cut yet. So there we go, 4 inches, and then that means I'll do this by 5 1/4. So I'll probably take about this much. And so that, like, this is a good example too. You can see it adds a little bit when you have pieces that could go off the edge. I'm saying kind of a lot today, you guys. I need to not. Let's try and not do that, okay? There we go. Trim down. And I think it would look pretty to even maybe bring in a little leaf kind of right here. I would, if I had more time, I would probably do that. Alas, we are moving on. We are moving on up. Coffee break. Do, 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 do. All right, let's do our sentiment. Where are we at on time? 10:45. We are moving right along. This train don't stop, y'all. Does not stop. Where's my black cardstock? Here it is. Let's get a piece of black cardstock. I thought I had smaller. So these are, you guys, I don't know if I ever showed you this. How I keep my cardstock is in these little document holders like this. And then I always just put the scraps right in the front. I do that with my colored cardstock, all of my cardstock, because then I've found, for me anyway, that if I put cardstock into a bin, like a scrap bin, I'm never ever going to reach for those scraps. It just doesn't happen. So I just keep it right in the front in my little file holder, and then I don't have to worry about it because I know whenever I go to grab black cardstock, I can look and see if any of the scraps at the front will work. See? Using my brain there. How do you guys keep your cardstock stored? Curious. Excuse me. I'm using for my sentiment the Autumn Greetings from that same Leaves Falling For You set. I get some anti-static powder tool here. And the reason I'm going to do heat embossing on dark cardstock is because I have a fairly light background. And that's going to help me, or help the sentiment to stand out a little bit. So when you're working with a dark background, a light paper for your sentiment works well, and vice versa, because it differentiates the two. And then I'll grab my embossing powder. Come on. My favorite embossing powder. And embossing ink. We're gonna stamp this up. Oh, Christine, I will, after the live is done, I'll add the folders to the supply list so that you can find it. So just give me like a couple minutes after the live ends and then I'll put it on there. I'm going to double stamp that because we love stamp positioners because they make life easy. Hopefully that didn't mess anything up. And now some white powder here. Yeah, it's, thank you. It just makes it so that I use up my scraps. I don't have a lot of scraps floating around. And then what I do is I will, if I make a, for instance, like if I was making this leaf card, right? And I didn't want to color my die cuts, if I wanted to use colored cardstock, what I would do is I would go through, pull out my colors that I wanted to use, and I always keep just one sheet at the front where I will cut little pieces off of it, and I will cut them just the size of whatever it is that I'm trying to die cut. Like I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but like I'll take a piece, I'll cut it into 4 A2 size panels. So I'll cut it in half and cut it in half again. And one of those A2 panels I kind of use to cut pieces out of. And then I have the other panels are just in there ready and waiting for to be happy on a card. All right, let's heat this up. Hey, Kathy. Don't worry, it's just me, you know, not being awake as per usual on a Tuesday. I haven't spilled anything though, or stuck my hand in anything, so that's good news. I'm just gonna heat up my heat gun here. And once it's nice and warm, we'll take it right to the cardstock. And as soon as it starts to melt that embossing powder, you want to pull it right off. That looks pretty darn good this morning, folks. Look at that. I love a white heat embossed sentiment on black cardstock. Something about it just makes my little heart happy. So there are coordinating dies for this Leaves Falling For You set. And that includes this sentiment. So we're gonna die cut this out. Get a little bit of, I'm gonna pull this down so I don't stick my head right in the camera, guys. And grab my little baby one. I have another. I don't have a problem, I swear. I have another baby die cutting machine that I just bought. It's coming in the mail. I like to try different products and let you guys know about them. It's kind of part of my, I guess part of my job, but I don't know. Is it really a job if you love it? I feel like it's only a job if you kind of don't like it. I suppose there are parts to what I do that are not as fun, like the editing and the voiceovering and that's not the fun creative part, but the card making part, that's fun. And I like to go live because then I don't have to edit the video. I'm being a whiny butt, you guys. I was up last night editing a video late because I had to get it up today. And as a result, I'm a little sleepier than usual. Okay. You see I cut out 2 extra. And that is because I want to layer these up to just give my sentiment a little bit of extra dimension. Not too much. Just enough to give it a little bit of lift off the front of the card so it doesn't look flat. And then we'll just pinch around the edges here so it's all nice and lined up. That looks pretty good. And then I think we'll put this, I don't know, like right around here. What do you think? Maybe down a little? If you're wondering what I'm looking at, I'm looking at my monitor in front of me because that shows the live feed of the live. So it makes it so that I don't have to quite stick my head like underneath my overhead camera, and I can still get a sense of where to put stuff. Okay. Here we go. Yes? Get that kind of centered so I can make sure I get this level. This bottom 2/3 or bottom third area of the card, if you watch me at all for any extended period of time, you'll notice just is kind of my happy space for sentiments. I think they look really nice down here. Good spots for sentiments are here, 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 and here, or centered. And that just has to do with what's called the rule of thirds. Boring, right? Okay, guys. Here comes the fun little thing I'm going to show you how to do. Are you excited? Right in the last 5 minutes, right? Where is it? Come on. Okay. So, pretty much everybody, I think, I could be wrong, has a bottle of Glossy Accents sitting around. And they don't use it enough. Let me show you what it looks like, in case you've forgotten, because it never gets used. This is what it looks like. This is the 2-ounce bottle. There's also a mini bottle. But this is a product, it dries to a clear gloss finish, and it has some dimension to it. You can do a lot of stuff with Glossy Accents. And really kind of the world of possibility gets opened up when you put it into a little fine metal tipped bottle like this. Okay, this gives you so much more control and precision. And what we're going to do is we are going to flood. I'm just trying to make sure I don't get too many air bubbles when I start here. We're going to flood our little leaves with glossy accents. So it's really very easy to do. It does not take any kind of like concentration. You don't have to go super slow because all you're doing is you're running your glossy accents along those raised edges of your die cut, and then kind of moving the tip around so that it fills in all the space. So you can do this with any die cut, but in particular it gives the most beautiful effect when you are working with finely detailed die cuts like this. Okay, so let me show you up close. You see how that's sort of filled in there now with the glossy accents? And if you get any spots where you kind of missed, you can always just kind of come back in with a pokey tool or with your bottle tip. And it takes a little bit of time to do this, you know, but it's such a cool effect that I think the time spent doing this is worthwhile for the fun effect that you get as a result. Couple of notes. I find that if you're putting your glossy accents into a fine tip bottle like this, a few things you should do every time you're done using it. I recommend poking the top with a needle, like just running a needle, and before you secure the little plastic lid back on there, and that'll make it so it doesn't clog up the middle tube. I also recommend using a smaller squeeze bottle. This is a 1/2 ounce squeezy bottle, I think is what it is. Just allows you to have kind of more control over what you're doing. And the other thing I will tell you, keep in mind, if you struggle, like if you have arthritis in your hand, you struggle with squeezing the tiny bottle, you don't have to do it all at once, right? You could walk away. And it's not something I have tried, but I think it would work wonderfully if you have the precision glue press like I do. You could get one of the empty bottles and put glossy accents in it. Actually, I think that would work amazingly well now that I'm saying that. I'm gonna have to do that. Give it a go. And then you don't have to have any pain from squeezing. Okay, so I just did 3 in that time. And like I said, it's super easy to do. You're just flooding. Yes, Arlette, I did glossy accents on top of the stamped and colored image of the sea turtle to create a 3-dimensional back on the sea turtle. It's just such a fun product and you can do really cool things. Now this is all still wet. I only did those 3 on here. But when it dries, you can see it creates this really fun, this is my sample that I threw together last night. It creates this really fun effect. Oh, that's good. Do you see that shine and shimmer? And people are kind of like, how did you do that? Because you can see through it. You can see the stamped pattern that you created, but it makes them 3D, and it's just really cool effect. I really like it. You can see I just stamped my greeting on here last night. I think it looks better like this. And then you could do a colored border, or if you're like me and you love a white border and think everything looks amazing with a white border, you can put it on a white border. So I'm not going to finish this off, but I did want to show you this one so you could see what it looks like when it's done, when it has all of that cool, and it's like kind of slick, but you can still feel that little delicate die cut because it's showing, right? It's popped up from in between the areas of the glossy accents. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I'll bring you back over. Hi. Pretty cool technique, huh? If you haven't tried it, I hope you do, because I think it looks really, really cool on a card. Okay, I've got homework. I'm supposed to list where the file folders are from, and then I've got to send a card out. Who wants a card? Any of you lovely people out there want a card? I'm going to pick someone from the comments. So if you haven't left a comment yet and you are interested in having this card once I finish it off, sent off to you in the mail, let me know by leaving a comment. This is open stateside, international, open to everybody. And I don't know how long it'll take to get to you overseas, but I do have international stamps. I'm going to scroll through and pick someone. You guys ready? I'm just going to kind of close my eyes, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who do we have? Oh, Christine. See? Paid off to laugh with me. You are the winner of this card. If you would like this card, shoot me an email and let me know, and I will send it off to you in the mail. And isn't it fun getting a card in the mail? I do a card swap with one of my friends every month, and it just brightens my day whenever I get a card from her. It's so fun. So I like sending them out, and every Tuesday the cards that I make, I send out to you guys. So come back if you're first time here. Oh, I see we've got some new people down in the chat. Yay. Hi, Mountain Bobcat and Kate V. Welcome. Come back and see me on Tuesdays and listen to me babble and create a card. It's lots of fun. Some days we get a big audience and there's a lot of chatter in the comments, and other days it's kind of a little more chill like today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, a fantastic rest of your week, and I will see you guys next Tuesday at 12 o'clock Central. Bye.